Alright guys, so in this video we're going to create the route to actually create or update a profile. So this is probably going to be our longest route, like the most code within a single route. Now this is going to be a post request that takes data, so we want to bring in our express validator stuff. So we want check and we want validation result. And we want to set that equal to require express validator, and it's going to be /check. Okay, so let's actually copy this comment right here and go under this route. Okay, so this is going to be a post request to just API/profile, and it's going to, let's put a description here. It's going to create or update a user profile, and it's going to be private. So let's do router.post, and the URL or the endpoint is going to be /, actually, yeah, it's just / because it's going to be API/profile. Now let's put our arrow function in here. So request response. Now we need to use the auth middleware, but we also need to use the validation middleware. So what we have to do in that case is put in a set of brackets like this and put the first middleware, which is auth, and then the second one is the brackets with the checks. Okay, so the only two required fields are going to be status and skills. Okay, so we want to check for status. The message will be status is required, and then the rule is going to be .not and then .is empty. Okay, I'll save that. Prettier, we'll fix it up a little bit, and then after that check, let's put another one for skills. Oops, skills, and that message is going to be skills is required. Okay, and then the same rules, not is empty. Okay, now this is going to be asynchronous, so we want to make sure we do an async here. And just like we did with the user registration, when we have this error checking, we need to create a variable. We'll call it errors, and we need to set it to that validation result, which takes in the request. Okay, and then we want to check for errors. So if not errors dot is empty. Okay, so basically if there are errors, then we want to return a response with a status of 400, and we want to send some JSON, which will be an object with an errors array, which we get from this errors dot not is array, just array, like that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and save that, and let's try this validation out. So we'll go to Postman, open up a new tab, let's make a request to API/profile, but it's going to be a post request. Add the headers here, so we want a content type of JSON, and it uses the auth middleware, so we need the token, so we're going to do x-auth-token, and we'll go ahead and grab the token from right here. This is the Brad user's token. Actually, you know what we can do is we can save the token as a preset. So if we go, let's just copy the token and go to manage presets, click add, and let's say Brad's token for the key. I'm sorry, not for the key, for the preset name. So Brad's token, the key is going to be x-auth-token. Value is going to be the actual token. Description, we can say Brad's token again, and let's say add. Okay, and then what we could do is, I'm just going to delete that and show you how we can use this. We can simply say presets, click Brad's token, and it will automatically put that in. We could even put the content type as a preset. Let's do that as well. So we'll say JSON content type, just to kind of speed things up as we move along. So this will be content type, JSON. All right, so we'll add that as well. Okay, so now we can quickly add these header values. So for the body, we want to choose raw. Actually, if I go ahead and send it, we get status is required and skills is required, so that's working out. Now let's attach status of, we'll say developer, and then skills is going to be a comma separated list. That's what it's going to go in as. So we can do like HTML, CSS, and what we're going to do is turn this into an array, and it shouldn't matter if there's a space or not. So I'll go ahead and not put a space. We'll say PHP, and let's say Ruby. All right, so if I send that, now the validation passes. Nothing's happening because we haven't sent any response if the validation passes. All right, so let's continue to work on this. Now we want to pull all the fields out. So right here, I'm actually going to paste this in because I'm going to do some destructuring, but there's a ton of fields. So we're just pulling all this stuff out from the request.body. And we need to actually check to make sure that, let's say bio was added before we try to submit it to the database. So right here, let's say build profile object. Okay, so we're gonna just initialize, let's say profile fields, and initialize that to an empty object. And then we're gonna go one by one and add each field. Now the user, so this right here, the user, we can get from request.user.id. So I'm going to do profile fields.user and set that equal to request.user.id. So it'll already know that just by the token that was sent. Now the rest of this stuff, like for company, we're going to say if company, then let's do profile fields dot company equals that company. So we want to do this for all the fields. So I'm going to just paste in a few here. Okay, so website, location, bio, status, GitHub username. Now when it comes to the skills, that's where we need to actually, we need to turn that into an array. So let's do if skills. So if skills, then we want to take profile fields and say dot skills, and instead of just saying equals skills, we need to actually turn this into an array, because right now it's going to be a comma separated list. So we're going to do a dot split, which turns a string into an array, and it takes in a delimiter, which is going to be the comma. Now, like I said, I want it to not matter if there's a space or even 10 spaces. So what we'll do is map through the array, because we can chain on the map method here. And for each skill, let's go ahead and trim it. So we'll do skill.trim like that. All right, we'll save that. And then what I'm going to do is just console log. Let's say console.log of skills. And then let's just add a dummy response for now. We'll just say res.send and hello. Okay, I just want to see if when we add the skills, if it turns into the array and it does what it's supposed to do. So let's go back to Postman and let's go ahead and send what we did before. Okay, we can just get hello down here, but let's take a look at the console. All right, so this isn't working right. You know what? I don't even think... I don't think this worked. let's do a console log 1, 2, 3 here. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. All right, let's send that again, and let's go back here. Okay, so that is working. Oh, we console log skills. We didn't console log profile fields dot skills. Okay, so profile fields dot skills is what we set to the array. So let's try that again. So send and go back, look at the console, and you can see we have an array now. All right, so cool. And it doesn't matter if it's a comma or a comma space, because you know that people aren't going to be consistent with that. Even if we specify it on the form, people will still either put a space or won't put a space. All right, good. So that takes care of that. Now we want to do the social stuff, but the social stuff is going to go in, for instance, profile fields dot social dot Twitter, like that. And we can't just check for profile fields dot social Twitter. What we have to do here is initialize, let's say build social array, or I should say object. It's an object. So profile fields dot social, and set that to an object. All right, then we can do our checks, which I'm just going to paste in. Okay, so if YouTube, then profile field social YouTube. If we don't initialize it like this, it's going to give us an error saying it can't find, you know, YouTube of undefined. This social here, whoops, what the hell? The social is going to be undefined. Okay, so we have to initialize that first. All right, so now that we have all these variables, or all the, I should say all these properties inside this profile fields, now we're ready to actually update and insert the data. So let's go right here and let's do a try, just do a try catch. All right, and for the catch, we'll just do a console error, and let's do all right, so inside the try, we're going to say let profile equals, take our profile model, and we're going to call find one, and we want to find by the user. So we're going to go ahead and pass in here user, and we can get the user with request dot, and remember that user field is the object ID, and we can match that to request dot user dot ID, which comes from the token. So we're going to look for a profile. If there is a profile, then that means we want to update it, right? So we'll say update. And the way that we can do that is take that profile variable and set it to await. And I actually forgot my await up here. Okay, since we're using a sync await, whenever we use a Mongoose method, we need to add await in front of it because it returns a promise. So this, in this case, we're going to say profile dot find one and update. That's the method we're going to use because it found a profile. So we want to use this find one and update, and we want to find it by the user, which we can get with request dot user dot ID. And then the next parameter, so after the curly braces, we're going to say money sign set, and we want to set the profile fields, okay, the profile fields above. And then I'm also going to add another parameter. So after this curly brace, we're going to add an object with new and set that to true. And let's save that, and that will kind of format that up a little bit. Okay, now as far as what I want to return is the entire profile. So I'm going to say return res.json, and I'm going to return profile. All right, so that's if it's found, right? So if there's a profile. Now under these curly braces, we're going to create. Okay, so if a profile is found, this will update it. If not, then to create it, we're going to take that same profile variable and set it to new profile, pass in our profile fields, and then we need to just save it. So we need to do await profile dot save, and then we want to return the profile, so res.json, and let's return the profile. All right, so we'll save that, and that should do it. So just to kind of reiterate what's going on here, we check for the errors, the body errors, we pull everything out from the body, we build up this profile fields object to insert into the database. We need to check to see if the stuff is actually coming in before we set it. We need to initialize the social object and do the same for that stuff. Then we're going to go ahead and look for a profile by the user. If it's found, we're going to update it and then send back the profile. If it's not found, we're just going to create it, save it, and send back the profile. Okay, so let's try it out. We'll save that, and I'm going to add a bunch of stuff here. Let's do status. What else do we have? Company. I'm going to make a kind of a full profile here for my user. So company, I'll say Traversy Media. I'm going to say instructor. That's going to be one of the options. So we have company status. What other stuff do we have in our model? And this isn't going to take the education and experiences. We're going to have separate routes or separate endpoints to create that stuff. All right, so that's not included here. But let's do website. So we'll say website, skills. We'll go ahead and add in JS, PHP, Ruby. And let's add some other stuff as well. So I want this to kind of be a full-fledged profile. So we have location. We'll say Boston, Mass. What else do we have here? Bio. Oops. So bio, I'll just say I am a developer and instructor for Traversy Media. We also have the GitHub username. And we have the social stuff. So for that, we can do Twitter. Twitter.com. All right. And what I'll do is just copy this down. I'll just do a couple. So we'll do Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So Facebook. All right. So I think that's all I want to add here. So let's try and send this in. Let's see, I forgot a comma right here. All right. So we'll send server error. Let's go over here. Profile.save is not a function. That's because we don't want to call save on the model. We want to call it on the instance right here that we created from the model. So profile, lowercase. All right, so let's try that. All right, cool. So we got a response, and it looks like it created our profile. We have an object with a skills array, a profile object ID. So that's the main ID for the profile, not the user. This is the user. Okay, so these are different. The company, the website, location, bio, status, GitHub username, our social object, and then experience and education are just empty arrays. So those will always initialize as just empty arrays. And like I said, we'll have endpoints to create those later. All right, and we can double check the database. So if we reload Atlas here and we look in profiles, you can see that all that data is there. Okay, experience and education are empty though. Awesome. So now let's check the update. So I'm going to change, let's get rid of Ruby and let's add Python. And then we'll change, let's see, I don't know, we'll say I'm a senior developer. All right, so if we send that, we should still have all the same stuff, but that the things we updated should change. I'm a senior developer and Python is now added here. Good, so this route can be used for both adding profiles and updating them, which is great. So I think that we're good to go with this. So in the next video, I want us to create a couple more routes. I want to make one to get all profiles. We'll probably create one for John Doe as well. And then I want one to get a profile by the user ID, because we want to be able to, in our front end, we want to be able to have a list of profiles, click on like, view profile and have it take us to that single profile. So that's the endpoint that we'll use. All right, so we'll do that in the next video.